So the work that you're doing for others and outside of yourself is creating worth in those other areas for those other parties, but it's leaving you empty. On today's episode, we're going to talk about self-sabotage. Is that something that you struggle with? Me too. Would you believe me if I told you that I have found the solution, the cure to self-sabotage? But even with having the foolproof solution, I still struggle. As recently as yesterday, as a matter of fact. Hence the reason I thought it was important to have this dialogue with you. So self-sabotage for me looks like me showing up for everyone else, whether it be my job, my clients, my family, literally perfect strangers. It feeds my soul in some odd way. It validates me, gives me extreme joy. I'm great at it. I get immediate results, which we're going to touch on that a bit later. And because I get immediate results and the validation, I continue to do it over and over and over again. But by investing all of that time, resources, energy into literally everything else other than what really needs to be handled, me, the work that I need to be doing on me, whether it's internal, physical, even this podcast, I have episodes that I must record. And instead of doing what is absolutely necessary for me to move the needle in my business, in my future, I will allocate that time into something else that I've managed to prioritize over something that is so incredibly important. Me. I'm the asset. I'm the golden goose. I'm the cash cow. But yet and still, I show up for everybody and everything else more than I. And I have done this my entire life. Now, the good thing that comes out of this is that I have acquired a ton of skills in doing so. Because when you're out fixing everyone else's problems and saving the world, you definitely add a lot of tools to your toolbox. So there's definitely something positive that has come out of all that. But knowing what I know, especially as an operator, especially who really understands compounded interest, compounded effort, knowing what I know, why am I not making those critical and those strategic investments into myself? Well, a lot of it has to do with the fact, as I mentioned before, with the immediate results. You see, when you're doing work on yourself, it never stops. So you don't necessarily get the immediate result, nor do you get the validation, the fanfare. Nobody's doing high kicks for you and waving their pom-poms when you're working on you. It's private. It's personal. So I understand logically why I do what I do, because it's incredibly conditional. So going out to take care of absolutely everything and everyone else outside of me, what really needs to be taken care of, what really needs to be nurtured, healed, fixed, it just never seems to be a priority. And so while many, myself included, tries to convince myself day in and day out that I'm amazing, that I'm doing meaningful work, that I'm doing incredible things, when I have to reconcile the work that hasn't been done, the important work on me that has gone by the wayside, I'm not a hero. I'm playing the role of a martyr. And I became aware of this. I became really aware of this a few years ago, which is when I discovered the cure for self-sabotage. The cure for self-sabotage is really quite simple. It's the work. And again, what's ironic, and maybe you can relate, is that oftentimes we're so willing to do the work, the external work with others, for others, and not willing to do the internal work on ourselves. But it's the work that instills the worth. So when you're sitting there and you are feeling worthless, it's because you haven't done the work on yourself. And that's a really tough pill to swallow, because especially when all you do is pride yourself on the work you've done, again, the meaningful work in your business, with your family, showing up for your husband, etc. All of that work almost doesn't count because you've managed to neglect yourself. You've managed not to enhance yourself. So the work that you're doing for others and outside of yourself is creating worth in those other areas for those other parties, but it's leaving you empty. There's no work being done on you. Therefore, there is no worth. So a very simple sentence, the work instills the worth, and it makes complete sense. And again, I've been aware of this. And even as of recent, it is still something that I have to remind myself of to apply. So I started to have this conversation with myself last night and again this morning. It's an important topic that I know many struggle with. Many don't even have this level of awareness, which is why I feel it important to share, giving you that simple tip, that simple sentence again, the work instills the worth. And a gentle, gentle reminder that you must continue to do the work on yourself, non-conditionally. The work never ends. But when you are able to accept that fact, when you are able to show up with no expectations and no conditions, and truly just continue to do the work within, you will be able to pour from a full cup. Please give yourself permission to take the time, the energy, and the resources to invest in yourself. Hands down, it will be the greatest decision you've ever made because it will truly be the gift that keeps giving. The gift, of course, that you're giving to yourself with no expectations, no conditions, and no timeline. Just an unconditional, unwavering promise to yourself that you will continue to work because it instills worth.